Alright people, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification. That way you'll know when I upload the next video and you'll be supporting my channel. Follow me on Twitter. Every time I upload a new video, I'll be tweeting. Ladies and gentlemen, UX, and this is the Pig War, oversimplified by the channel The OverSimplified. Yeah, the newer video from OverSimplified was just released a few days ago, and it's the Pig War. Of course it is, because somebody fought war over a pig. Just like there was an emu war. I don't know what this is going to be about, but obviously it's going to be awesome since OverSimplified is making it. Alright. Remember, if you like my reacts and don't forget to like, subscribe, so I know which type of videos to react to more, I guess. Check out the Rick Sunday, there's a link in the description. Check out the cast of playlists like OverSimplified, Interhistorian, John Tron, whatever, TK. Yeah, let's watch it.
This video was made possible by NordVPN. Click the link below to stay safe online and get a huge discount off a 2-year plan with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Trouble sleeping? Need someone to snuggle? Then why not snuggle me? The limited edition OverSimplified plushie is available for pre-order for a few days only. Get it quick along with some beautiful new character pins. Look at us, boys. We've only gone and bloody done it. We beat the Brits and secured independence. Now to expand westward and conquer the rest of the continent. Thomas? It looks like a bunch of different people already live out west. What? Oh no. That means we can't expand. I hate my life. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't say they were white people.
Oh, so that's I like the Star Wars poster. That's what Pig War is.
At the end of the Revolutionary War, when the United States secured its independence from Great Britain, the two sides met in Paris to settle the terms. Among various things, they discussed American territorial gains, and the British granted them a generous amount of land out west. However, Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an additional fascination. Oh, Canada. So voluptuous. You think we can maybe acquire some of that? Quit ogling our territory. But look at those curves. I'd worry less about Canada's curves and more about your own curves, Benjamin. Many in America suggested that one day, the Canadian colonies should become a part of the United States. In response, Britain suggested that many in America should shut the hell up. Well, if Britain wasn't going to give up Canada, then the two sides had to agree on where to put their border. Easy enough for the most part. Follow some existing borders, add in a few rivers and lakes, maybe even a parallel for good measure. But then there was a question. What would happen here? Straight line, straight line. And so it was. The border would go from the northwesternmost point of this perfectly oval-shaped lake and continue in a straight line westward until it met the Mississippi River. Perfect. Or was it? Well, as it turned out, the lake didn't actually look like this, but like this. And the Mississippi wasn't here, but here. So in the end, none of that made even the slightest bit of sense. Don't blame the Founding Fathers. They were just using the best map available.
Seriously.
Blame the guy who made it.
Yeah, I mean, real life lore made lots of videos about this, and it's fascinating to see that how much problems the early times mapping were, right? I mean, you can't blame them. Around that time, you know, they didn't have any better way to map things, so they just assumed that, oh, there's a lake, so it's probably going to be round, and it just assumed lots of things, and cut out the territories that way. But obviously that has an issue today. I mean, lots of territories are inconveniently placed. Like certain parts of USA, even Canada, is in other country. Like USS small land is in Canada. So if they have to travel back to USA, they have to go through the Canada because there is lake in between them. So they have to travel through Canada into USA again, which is really weird to see. But yeah. I mean, at that time, you can't really blame the Founding Fathers to basically, know that which place is what.
But to the minds of the day, the issue had been solved, and it was finally time to start getting along. Oh, back to war they go. The Glorious War of 1812 saw the Americans try to invade Canada, and the British burn down the White House.
Oh,
but
yeah.
when all was said and done, it was pretty much a draw. And once again, America and Britain had to enter into peace negotiations. By now, both sides realized the original border they came up with was a piece of
I love what Trump said to Trudeau. Didn't you guys burn the White House? That's just awesome.
hot garbage.
Like, what
and
the
since
fuck?
America had also recently obtained a huge amount of land from Napoleon, they decided they would need to re-examine the border issue. straight line, straight line. And so it was. To fix the problems of the previous border agreement, they decided to go from the northwesternmost point of this lake, as had been previously agreed, down to the 49th parallel, and from there the line would go straight as an arrow up until the Rocky Mountains. But beyond the Rockies, the two sides couldn't quite agree on where it would go next, because both sides claimed that territory beyond the Rockies was theirs. See, throughout its early history, America as a nation had its eyes heavily fixated on all that juicy land out west, ripe for invasion. Settlementation. America wanted to expand. Not only was it their right, some believed it was a destiny given to them by God himself to multiply and spread across the continent, like rats or disease. Okay guys, just before we take over everything, God definitely said this is what we're meant to do, right?
Yeah, that's what he said, right? Isn't that what he said?
And who was it who spoke to God?
It was Billy, right? I thought it was Sharon's cat. I hear voices all the time.
Well, it was one of us. There's no way we made this whole thing up to justify our ruthless collective imperialist tendencies. Yeah! All right, well, in that case, let's get out there and make the world a better place, just as God intended.
This is a great point, right? Throughout the history, lots of different empires and civilizations basically use God's will as an easy excuse and an easy, thing to make sure the morality is not an issue anymore. Like if somebody is doing a genocide or something like that, it's God willing. They always put God into the context whenever they want to do something. Like, okay, genocide against the Native Americans, it's God's willing. This is what God's want, and there you go. No common civilian is going to question that, since all the priests and all the people in power, bishops or whatever, are basically saying that. So there you go. It is God's will if they are saying it.
This belief in divinely destined expansion would later be given its very own name: Manifest Destiny. But America wasn't the only one interested in controlling the Western territories. At the time, Canada was made up of a number of colonies, collectively referred to as British North America. This one over here was owned by the Hudson's Bay Company, a British charter company dedicated to turning as many beavers as possible into as many felt hats as possible, as quickly as possible. And the indigenous people became a key supplier.
What? Entire massive region is only there for a company who makes hats. So hats were that much of a commodity at the time. God damn.
Result, the British were also eager to control the land out west and secure that region's valuable resources. And in particular, the Great Columbia River was deemed vital to the beaver business. So when it came to the question of what would happen to the border beyond the Rockies, the conversation went a little like this. The line should keep going straight because we're manifestly destined to gain the entire North American continent. No, we need this river so we can keep scalping beavers. Look, why don't we just draw the border along the river? That way we both have access to it. Well, that would be a completely fair compromise that protects the interests of both parties. And there's no way I'm ever going to agree to it! Having come to a roadblock, both sides simply agreed that for now, they would jointly occupy the Northwestern Territory. They were both free to settle and trade there. But rest assured, the agreement was only temporary. Eventually somebody would get their way. Listen, Yank, we can jointly occupy this land, but I ain't sharing anything else. I don't want to see you using my toothbrush. I don't want to catch you wearing my underwear. And I don't want to catch you using my computer and selling my data to advertisers. Well, then you, my friend, should use NordVPN.
Yeah, NordVPN. Okay, first of all, this whole agreement that they're going to share the land, especially between, Americans and British. After the American Revolution, I don't know how common civilians basically coped with it, because there must be a real hate, right? After that, they were just sharing the land. That's British with the British flag. That's American with the American flag. So, I don't know, there must have been many conflicts around that area.
And what the fuck? Do you like giving strangers your passwords to your most important online accounts? Me neither. And that's why I use NordVPN. NordVPN has thousands of secure servers in over 60 countries, allowing you to safely surf the net at the fastest speed possible. It works across all your devices, so you're protected on the go, even 6 of them simultaneously. And it's super easy to use. With just the click of a button, you can head on over to South Korea and watch every single BTS video known to mankind. With NordVPN, you no longer need to worry about those shady websites, annoying pop-ups, or undesired eyes spying on your browsing history. And you can even unlock content that's been blocked in your country, like this video. It even comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So why not go to nordvpn.com/oversimplified to get a 2-year plan with a huge discount, plus an additional month for free. And as always,
I love how certain countries like Germany blocked the Hitler video from OverSimplified. He's always using that as to promote his NordVPN OverSimplified thing. Like even blocking that was profitable for him. I love that.
you'll be supporting my channel. So thank you. Now where were we? Oh yeah. Bickering over boundaries, manifesting destiny, and a joint occupation of Oregon. And one man living here who felt the territory should be British was James Douglas, the Hudson's Bay Company's no-nonsense chief factor at Fort Vancouver. Ah, what a beautiful, unspoiled corner of the British Empire. I've got my spotted dick, my Spice Girls fan club membership, and an unrelenting negative outlook on life that affects everyone around me. What are you looking at, Stephen? Yes, truly British. What the? The problem for men like Douglas was that many Americans had already begun streaming up the Oregon Trail. Gunslinging, howdy neighboring, diarrhea having. By the thousands, they were pouring into the Oregon Territory in search of land to settle in.
Okay, can we take a moment and just appreciate that how big McDonald's has become? Nowadays, anybody wants to make a joke about America, they always use McDonald's as a symbol, like McDonald's America. While years ago, basically, it was something like baseball or something like that. Like that basically signified what America is, right? Like if somebody, oh, look at those people playing baseball, so that those are Americans, something like that. But now, if you just have to show the McDonald's symbol, oh, those are the Americans. McDonald's has surpassed every other sports and everything.
Farm. This, however, crowded out the fur trade, and eventually, a very bitter Douglas and the other Hudson's Bay traders at Fort Vancouver were ordered to relocate north to a new base of operations. But the Americans keep coming and they don't stop coming. Hopped in their wagons and they hit the ground running. Didn't make sense to keep sharing Oregon when they outnumbered the Brits more than 6-1. And suddenly, the whole joint occupation deal was being called into question. Newly elected President Polk maintained that America had an obvious claim to the entire region, even implying a possible war with Britain. Fiery language from US senators declared that American rifles would annihilate the Hudson's Bay Company in Oregon, and America even gave Britain notice that it was pulling out of the joint occupation agreement. The British were alarmed as the two sides stood on the brink of war. But in the end, neither truly wanted to fight. The British favored maintaining good economic relations, while the Americans had already gotten themselves into a war with Mexico. So after a bit of back and forth, the British finally said, "Fine, you wanted a straight line? There's your straight line." And so, the agreement was made. The border would continue directly to the Strait of Georgia, but because the
So basically, British after American Revolution, they are really bad economically, right? In really bad place. So they don't wanna sacrifice America as economical partner, because even from the start, even from the start of the United States, right? When the first it came to be, it has been a economical powerhouse. Even in the world before World War I, around the World War I, it was economical powerhouse. Even if it wasn't joining, it was supplying the basically allies and everything like that. So obviously British don't want to give that up, and America's basically fighting in the south, in Mexico and everywhere. So like, we don't really want to fight you. We don't want American Revolution Part 2 or something with Britain.
British insisted they keep Vancouver Island, it would then move south through the center of the channel and on to the Pacific Ocean. Finally, the issue of the northwest border had been solved. Hold the phone. Discrepancy detected. Enhance frame, 200%. Enhance. Enhance. Oh, too far. Perfect. Now, show me the exact wording of the treaty. The line of boundary goes to the middle of the channel, and thence southerly through the middle of said channel.
Ooh.
But there's loads of channels.
There you go. That's the place, right? I'm pretty sure this is the place that even in the real life lore video is talking about. This is part of America, but you have to go through Canada to go back to United States again. And I mean, they're not going to build a massive bridge here just to connect this small land. I mean, that's just stupid. So I guess that's it. This is really weird situation because but all the people who was meeting in whatever some capital house or whatever in Senate, or they were meeting like how to draw the line. They just agreed, oh, straight line, fuck it. Let's not even go there and actually see it our own eyes, like which is more sensible. No, straight line, fuck it. Take a straight and then go from the channel. It is really, there's so many places like that. So throughout the border between United States and Canada. This is just ridiculous. Look at that.
So, you tell me, dear viewer, which channel is the treaty referring to? And therefore, who owns these islands? Is the wording of the treaty maybe a little too vague? Well, that's exactly the problem encountered by the people living in the area. The British insisted that the channel intended by the treaty was the Rosario Strait, and therefore, the islands were British. The Americans, on the other hand, argued that the intended channel was the Harrow Strait, and therefore, the islands were American. At times, the debate became rather heated. Even the individuals...
See, at the time, founding fathers and even the people like this always used, not too specific words because they thought something is just commonsensical, right? They use the words like, self-evident and things like that, assuming that people will, understand even if we don't specify certain things. That's what they assumed at the time. They had no idea that how much of a commodity certain things will become, and out of greed, people can basically interpret words in any way they can. So you have to be absolutely specific when you're trying to, put the lines where it goes and which land belongs to who. So they didn't do that. So obviously they're going to fight. Oh no, it's this one. No, it's that one. I mean, there are so many things where, founding fathers and, basically early times people wrote like articles and, I guess constitution where certain things are vague and they use words like, self-evident and things like that, thinking that they don't need to be that specific. And, it's not their fault. I mean, they can't basically see they can't have that kind of a hindsight. They can see all the drawbacks of using certain words or not. So they were doing the best they can, but obviously later on, many years later, centuries later, certain things can be interpreted a different way and it becomes a problem.
Who negotiated and signed the treaty at times didn't seem entirely sure which channel the treaty meant, and representatives from the Hudson's Bay Company begged them to make it clearer. But thousands of miles away, the people in power simply had more to worry about than some tiny islands in the middle of nowhere.
Order!
Shut up! All right, listen up. We got a lot to get through. The 7th Earl of Gissingham says he encountered a foul beast in the fields of Upper Fardingdom late last night and put this sketch together? That's a poor person, Darren. Ugh. Next, Lord Piddlingham says he has a new mole on his backside? How is that parliamentary business, George? Oh. Some islands in the Pacific Northwest are in dispute and could lead to a war with America? Boring! Fine, let's take a look at that mole, George. And so, for now, the islands were simply held in dispute. Were they British or were they American? I'm sure this conflict won't cause anyone to die. And one man who thought the islands were undeniably British was James Douglas, now the governor of Vancouver Island. He had already once had American settlers encroach on his territory and force him to move. And by golly, he wasn't going to let it happen again. As far as he was concerned, those islands were not only British, but prime agricultural land. And given the chance, those glubby Yanks wouldn't hesitate to start pitching flags with their glubby little hands. And so, he came up with a plan. If the British settled the islands first, then that would surely secure them for Britain. And so in 1853, Douglas sent an Irishman by the name of Charles Griffin, along with some Hawaiian shepherds, to go set up a sheep farm on San Juan Island. And set up a sheep farm they did. The place was rammed with sheep, 1,369 to be exact. But within those flocks of woolly cowards could also be found a number of beautiful, prized Berkshire pigs.
Oh god, now see what's gonna happen now. So let me get this straight. This is more like an island and a zone which is, I guess, conflicted. So no side really owns it, but they're trying to take control over it. So now, this basically British people occupied this land, right? And then Americans are going to do the same thing. And I guess what somebody's going to, I guess fight over pigs, or I don't know, kill the pig or something. So it started a war because I guess, that's an act of aggression. Is that what's going to happen? I hope that's not the case, because that would be such fucking ridiculous. Like history book says that the pig war. So somebody killed a pig and that started a war. What the fuck?
Oh, Porky, you look stunning. You're the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Would you perhaps like to go to the island bowl together tonight? Oink once for no. Roll around in that cow crap if yes. Yes! I'm covered in poo and I'm the luckiest man alive! But life on the island for Charles Griffin wasn't to be a perfect paradise of pig pageants. Because unfortunately for him, the Americans also believed the island was theirs. One day, in 1854, an American customs collector was sailing around the islands on the outlook for bands of native tribesmen when he spotted something. Aha! I've got you now, you savages. Over yonder. Those are sheep, sir. Sheep, you say? What are they doing here? Let's go and negotiate with them. Negotiate with sheep? Are you crazy? I'm perfectly stable, you rat bag! Call me crazy again and I'll eat your eyes! Hello, good sir. We request to speak with your leader. Out of my way. Allow me to parley with this foul beast. Hey, stop threatening my sheep. Your sheep? You mean to tell me that you, a British subject, have illegally imported these sheep into American territory? I'll have you know that you, an American, are currently trespassing on British territory. The Americans felt that they were entitled to collect taxes on the British property. You know, because the island was American, and they threatened seizure if dues weren't paid. The British, meanwhile, threatened to arrest the Americans, you know, because the island was British, and the two sides were in a standoff. To give Charles Griffin the legal power to deal with the American trespassers, Douglas said, "Hey, put on this wig." Boom, you're a magistrate now. And in turn, Griffin went to one of his Hawaiian shepherds and said, "Hey, I'm making you a constable. Put on this badge." The British then went off to arrest the US Customs Inspector. But, being an American, he emerged from his tent with 4 pistols and a giant knife, so the Brits had to back down. Eventually, raids by northern tribes chased the US officer from the island, but the Americans weren't done yet. Officials from nearby Whatcom County in Washington Territory believed the island fell under their jurisdiction, and they decided it was time to make the British pay up once and for all. They sent one Sheriff Barnes to go confront Charles Griffin. "Hey, you owe us $80.33 for all this farm stuff you got here. Go suck an egg!" Oh, I see. So that's how it is, huh? That's how it's gonna be, is it? That's the way in which things are, eh? That be how it will, is it? Will it be how that is, huh? That be the way in which things be the way they are, is that— Get off my property! So the sheriff and other Whatcom County officials felt they were now well within their rights to seize and auction off Griffin's sheep in order to recoup lost taxes. And who would they auction these prized breeding rams off to but themselves? Then, in a pretty chaotic scene, they worked to tie the rams to their boats. And when Charles Griffin came running to rescue his kidnapped sheep, being a
Alright, look, understanding the American side, because around this time the central government was not that strong of a thing, right? States were acting on their own. I mean, the federal government was kind of, let's just say not as strong as it is today. But British government was definitely strong enough, but they he showed that they didn't care much. So if people in some kind of a senate or something doesn't decide things like this is what would happen, right? Certain people from certain country goes there, "Oh, this is my land, you're trespassing." They're like, "No, this is my land, you're trespassing." It heats up and everybody just comes to blow.
Americans, they pulled out guns on him, and he had to back down. In all, Charles Griffin lost 34 breeding rams, and he was furious. The British complained to the American government, who were shocked to hear what had been going on at their northwest border. And both governments told their officials in the area to back off. We're not trying to start a major war over some dumb sheep and a stupid island. But also, the islands are definitely ours. Under no circumstances let the other side have them. For now, both governments agreed to set up yet another boundary commission to decide which channel was the correct border. But it often devolved into petty bickering. The British did make one interesting suggestion, though. We could draw the border through this middle channel and split the islands between us. Well, that would be a completely fair compromise that protects the interests of both parties.
Nope.
And there's no way I'm ever going to agree to it! And in the aftermath of the sheep raid, James Douglas, still stationed at Fort Victoria, became even more cautious of American encroachment into his territory. Mr. Douglas, sir, it appears an Indian has discovered gold in the Fraser Canyon, just north of here. Shut up! Keep your voice down, boy. We can't risk those glubby Americans hearing about this, or our territory here will be infested with them.
They heard it. They heard it. Holy shit. As soon as the guy said gold, that's it. People like from the, I guess, miles or hundreds of miles were like, huh? Somebody said gold? Where's my ship?
The Fraser Canyon Gold Rush attracted a heap of Americans to the region. Some got lucky. Most did not. And of those that didn't, rather than returning all the way home, many simply decided to settle in the area. And in particular, the juicy green pastures of San Juan Island were rather appealing.
I mean, you didn't got shit. You don't have much of money because you probably spend, coming there, I guess. Right? You spend every dime you had to go to the gold rush and trying to make money. But now you're nothing. So your pockets are empty. So you have to settle somewhere there. I mean, what else are you going to do? You don't have money to go back.
Believing the island was American territory, around a dozen American settlers moved there in the late 1850s. One of them was a man named Lyman Cutler, a young man in his mid-20s, and lazy as pie. He didn't want to have to clear a space in the forest to build his home, so he said, I'll just build my cabin right in the middle of this British sheep run. I'm sure that won't make anyone mad. When he planted potato seeds in his garden, rather than building a nice protective fence around them, he said, I'll just fence in 3 sides and hope all these British farm animals have a moral compass and respect my property rights.
No.
Griffin's pig was a Berkshire, well known for rooting, and Lyman's fairly pathetic fence made for a bad combination. Numerous times he had had to chase the pig away from his property, and he once angrily marched up to Griffin's home, saying, Hey, British farm idiot, keep your stupid pig out of my potatoes. It is up to you to keep your potatoes out of my pig. Griffin was furious with his new American neighbors. They built their homes all...
I mean, kinda. Yeah, kinda is the point there. I mean, what is supposed to talk to the pig? What is supposed to keep the pig locked up? I mean, that's not how things work. You have to create a fence to keep the pig away.
Over his sheep pastures. And besides, what right did they have to be here anyway? It was British territory. Lyman, on the other hand, swore the local government had assured him his land claims were legitimate. And so to him, the British were out of line. Look at that sick freak. In love with his pig. Isn't that just sick? Yeah, what a freak. Not like our loves, buddy. Ours is all natural. Yep, just a man and his potato. Nothing wrong with that. But the tension between Lyman and Griffin was just about to explode. What the? Spuddy? All right, you damn dirty pig. That's the final straw. Lyman shot the pig.
Oh my God.
After taking a second to calm down, he felt bad about murdering
That
Griffin's
is how it
prized
starts.
boar. So he went to him and said, Hey man, look, I kinda just killed your pig. It was eating my potatoes again and I don't know, man,
He's
I
eating
kinda
static.
just killed your pig. Killed your pig. Killed your
Eyes are
pig.
getting bigger.
You swine! No, the swine is the one I killed. I'm Lyman. Griffin demanded Lyman pay $100 for the loss of the pig, an outrageous sum at the time. Obviously, Lyman refused, threatening to shoot any more animals that dared enter his property, even threatening to shoot Griffin himself. When Griffin complained to James Douglas, British officials went and confronted the pig killer. Again, they insisted he pay up, and if he didn't, Lyman claimed they threatened to arrest him and take him back to Victoria. British officials arresting an American on American soil and trying him under British law? Now that's controversial. And it's a controversy that attracted the attention of an American general in charge of...
As a controversial, that's like, act of aggression, right? At least to the Americans at the point, because they think that's American land. I mean, a foreign country cannot just come there, claim that their laws apply and just basically arrest their citizen. Oh my God, that's so pig war did started by somebody shooting the pig. As soon as they said, this is a conflict zone, both sides basically, arrived there and, there are pigs. I'm like, okay, this is how it starts. God damn it. So I thought, emu was so stupid. I mean, they were, right? They were ridiculous. But the pig were. So it's just, obviously, oversimplified. It's not just oversimplified, exaggerating a lot here. So basically, it was just an excuse. So the situation was way tensed up. Everybody was on, edge at the time. Anybody just needed an excuse, and somebody shooting a pig. I mean, that's it. They already hated each other, and you shot my pig, and that's just unforgivable. Alright, well, that was the pig wars part 1, I guess. I'll do the part 2 in, I guess, next day. This is fucking awesome. Never heard of this, right? When he said the pig war, I thought it was going to be somewhere else, but I didn't know it's about American Revolution time around that. I mean, it's not around that time, it's later on, but still, America versus Britain. It's still, there's a pig war between them. I'd never heard of this shit. Right? If you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the reaction, this link in the description, check out the cards, place the link cards in, yeah. I'll see you next time.